right, our next guest, ladies and gentlemen. She's done it all. And she's, yes you have, for crying out loud. Don't look at me that way. She's been a contributing editor for Town Hall magazine, Fox News Channel contributor. She, in the summer of 2013, she became an alternate co-host on The Five. She's also a National Review Washington Fellow. And you've done it all. She's an author, she's all over television, she does it all, and she's big on the Second Amendment. Katie Pavlich, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good evening, and welcome to Nashville. This is my first time here, so I am very excited to be in Tennessee and with all of you on my Friday night. What a amazing, patriotic group of people to spend it with. I live in Washington, D.C. now, which I'm going to get to the problems with that in a minute. But everyone who is involved in firearms or firearms training or the firearms industry, wherever you may fall into the categories, has their own story. So looking at my story and how I became a lover and protector of the Second Amendment, I started out like a lot of people in this country do. When I was 10 years old, my dad was so excited. I'm the oldest, and I have a younger brother. So excited I could finally go hunting, right? So he bought me my first hunting rifle when I was 10 years old, and had KDP inscribed on the sling, and was all excited, took me hunting. And so I grew up shooting rifles with my dad, and being outside and the outdoors, and that, respecting the land and being a conservationist and understanding that part of the firearms industry. And then I got a little older and went to college in Tucson, Arizona at the University of Arizona, which is the only legitimate university in the state of Arizona, I might add. And, I was living off campus starting my sophomore year, and Tucson's a pretty dangerous place. It's not exactly a safe place to be. It's very dark at nighttime. They have a dark skies policy, so when you go home at night and you're getting in your door, you can't really see. A lot of my friends got their homes broken into. My neighbors who lived behind me had their house broken into every Christmas break. So then I switched my perspective to being more about self-defense. So as soon as I turned 21, I became a concealed carry permit holder, which of course caused a problem when I wanted to drive to campus and come home late at night because I wasn't allowed to bring my firearm with me because it would have been expelled from the school, right? And I was also driving back and forth from Tucson to Flagstaff to visit my family for holidays and whatever. So then I graduated school and I was moving to Washington, D.C. to pursue a career in journalism. And I specifically looked at where I'd be living based on where I could own a firearm. So I live in Northern Virginia now. I call it the freedom side of the river, because as soon as you cross a bridge across a river, you're a felon. And not only if you have a firearm in the car, but if you have spent ammunition, if you have any shotgun holes in your vehicle, you are now a felon simply because you crossed over this arbitrary line of a bridge in a river. So that, I thought was a problem, and we've had a lot of progress in DC with the DC concealed carry now, which, by the way, you have to have police reports and all these other things to prove why you need a concealed carry permit in DC. But that really was another reason why I just said, it really needs to be talked about from a journalistic perspective. What are the reasons why they're doing this and everything else? But really, when I got to DC, one of the things that I started out writing about was Operation Fast and Furious. And if you'll remember, maybe you didn't, and this is why research is so important, because media takes information from the government, the Justice Department, and people like Shannon Watts, who are funded by Michael Bloomberg. That's where they're getting their information. And on December 13th, 2010, the Washington Post published this huge expose, they did a series of these, called The Hidden Life of Guns. And they were blaming all of these gun dealerships in Arizona and in Texas for arming the Mexican drug cartels. 2,500 weapons, these gun dealerships are responsible for the violence and mayhem in Mexico. It is their fault, we need more gun control. 2 days later, Border Patrol Agent Brian Terry is killed in the deserts of Arizona with firearms that were given to cartels by the United States government. And it turns out later we find out that all of the gun dealerships on the Washington Post graphs that were arming the Mexican cartels were being forced by ATF to do so. Now, did ATF ever acknowledge that? You know, sorry that we were telling you that these people were arming them on purpose, but really we were the ones doing it. Did the Washington Post ever issue a retraction? The answer is no. And the reason why research matters is because those people's lives were impacted, and they're still being impacted today by the results of what the government forced them to do and the media that backed them up to do it. Another thing that happened 2 years ago, in 2013, is the Baltimore County Police Chief testified in front of Congress when they were trying to push through new background check legislation. You all remember that Dianne Feinstein was waiting for her moment. Newtown happened. She opened her drawer where she keeps her gun control legislation, pulled it out, and held a hearing for everyone to come to. So the Baltimore County Police Chief claimed this, and I want to quote him. He said in front of reporters, again, the media, "Police officers face these weapons either in seizure cases or crimes of violence every day. Dozens of police officers have lost their lives due to an assault weapon and a criminal adversary." So that seemed a little exaggerated to me. I understand mostly that police officers actually recover handguns when they're out on the streets and being shot at by criminals, with all due respect. However, they're not getting shot at by criminals with AR-15s, which is what they were trying to ban. So I called the Baltimore County Police Department and said, hey, I'd like a report of all the firearms you guys have confiscated in crimes or off the streets from September to February. So September of 2012 to February of 2013 when we testified. Based on the numbers under the definition of the Clinton-era assault weapons ban, out of 600 guns seized by the Baltimore County Police Department, only 26 of them were assault rifles under that definition. So here's this guy in front of Congress, in front of all the reporters saying, we're facing these weapons every single day, we need more gun control. When really they're lying, right? And so it's really important for us to do the research as John Lott has done, because it matters when it comes to the type of information that the media is proliferating to the mass public, and it's wrong and it's false. And when we don't have other information to give people, it's very difficult to combat that. So I would hope that you guys stay in tune with crime research. It really matters in terms of the media, and it will give us something to offer them back and give people something that maybe they've never heard before and continue to allow us to win this battle. Thank you guys.